Ham Radio, Kilo Echo 8, Papa Zulu November, the Ham Radio Adventure Guy. Thanks for stopping by. Your one stop for everything adventure radio and listening to my ear busting music at the beginning. I get more complaints on my music at the beginning than anything, but you know what? If it's too loud, just turn it down, guys. I got to jam a little bit. It's been a rough week, you know. It's already Wednesday. Yeah, what's going on, everybody? Got a great stream tonight. I'm really excited about it. We got a ton of guests tonight. So that's right. That music jams, Robbie. I might actually say you can POTA tonight. Let's give a shout out to my Patreons really quick. These are the guys that helps keep the gas in the tank, the tickets paid, and all that good stuff when I go out to these parks. And I try to return the favors as much as I possibly can. I got an email today from a guy saying that he needed 3 more contacts to make his eagle's nest at 7056. So what did I do? I went out to 7056 after work and did 4 bands, and now he has an eagle. I returned the favors, guys. Also, we got the Adventurer Club. Bruce donated off stream again, and he's still leading the pack. We did have a little bit of moving and swapping. Even though I got his name spelled all crazy, right? Look at that. Ed Warp. Ed Warp. I might start calling you that. Ed Warp. You made the board. So it don't matter. Yeah, I bet you'd probably rather me call you Ed Warp than Edith. So you can choose which one you want. Anyway, Hayden, go ahead and bring out the crowd. Oh, wow. Look at all these faces. All these faces on my stream. So we got Mr. Vern 6. Mr. I seen you in Huntsville, but you ain't getting none of my stickers, buddy.
That's all right, Bubba. I get your number.
That's what he gets for trying to scare me. I was leaning on his truck, and this guy goes and starts setting off the car alarm.
That's great. That will live forever because you almost pissed your pants.
Well, I kind of understand him setting it off. I was hanging out next to some shady characters, I was standing there talking to Shaq and Greg, so he may have got scared a little bit. Then we got Mr. Juliet Quebec uniform.
Hey, James, 5959 November Charlie.
That's right, buddy. Kurt's always a 5'9" himself. And then we got this guy. I don't know if we should call him the PP man because he's not been doing too much PP. He's been running the QRO lately.
After today, I'll be back to PP man.
Oh, here we go. So you're just gonna send me that radio to put my card in? Okay, I got you. you heard it here first. So what's going on, everybody?
We're here to have a little fun and talk about RVs.
That's right. We're going to talk about RVs, and since I don't have an RV, I had to bring this illustrious group on here. But just so y'all know, I did play the Powerball on my way home, and it is $700 million. So I mean, tomorrow I will probably be going and picking out my RV when I win. We all know that I got that one winning ticket.
That's it. That's
you got to get it. You got to get it from a seedy joint, a seedy party store.
A CD party store, huh?
Yeah.
Is that the trick? I don't even know. I don't even know if I have one of them. West Virginia has had a big lottery winner before.
Oh yeah.
So we've had one. All righty. So we're going to talk a little bit about RVs and and ham radio. Yeah, of course, ham radio.
Not just RVs, I hope.
Now here's the thing: we're just talking about ham radio and RVs. I know POTA is going to be brought into it, but these questions, unless I say the word POTA, are not specifically POTA questions. Even though I'll try to make them that way anyway. So the way you guys are lined up on my screen, it's PP Man, then Vern, and then Kurt. So we're going to start with PP Man. First question is, what kind of RV you got, man? You got a pulling, a driving? What do you got?
Yeah, it's a 25-foot Class C motorhome that we got a year and a half ago. We slowly progressed from tents to pop-ups to trailers. We had a couple trailers, and then this is the last one I'm going to have.
See, I knew what he had because I went out to activate with him when he was on one of his road trips. Of course, he didn't invite me in his RV. He kind of kept me outside and said, "You sit out here. I'm going in here." But
I understand.
Damn, man. Damn.
all right, Vern, what you got?
I have two. I have a 2021 Rockwood Delaterra 26 foot, and then I have a 39 foot 2022 Rockwood Signature. And basically, it's just depends on the size of what I want to go do. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
Awesome.
definitely size matters.
that's it.
Well,
Actually, it works the other way around. It's easier on the smaller one.
I was gonna say,
It is.
when the bigger you got, the less places that may be able to hold you too.
Yeah,
So.
our bigger one is more geared for off grid. I mean, it's got I don't know, I forget 680 watts of solar, has 480 amp hours of lithium ion batteries, holds 160 gallons of fresh water. Our refrigerator runs off of solar or DC only, I should say. It does not run off of propane or AC. Everything except for the television and the microwave, and run off of the 12-volt system.
Heck yeah. So just so you know, Vern, the answer to question number 7 will be yes for you. Okay, just so
I
you
don't know what
that.
the hell 7 is, but okay.
All right, Kurt, what are you rolling up in?
So I went from a tent, from being a Boy Scout leader to a 34-foot Grand Design travel trailer, bumper pull, and definitely that length was a problem in a couple places I want to go, and I'll get to that a little bit in the future. But that's my first official RV. And I bought it and spent 3 months on the road this summer, did 8,000 miles, and a lot of POTA. Not from the
That's
RV
awesome.
necessarily, but a lot of POTA. So
That's awesome.
That,
We used to live in one a long time ago. Are you living it? You're not living one.
I lived in it for like 4 months, 1 month prior to my trip, and then 3 months on the road. And also, like Canada, James worked in it, had a Starlink, and was able to work, was able to play. But it was really, my intention was to figure out, do I like this or not? And I really liked it. So
Yeah, we lived in ours back in goodness 2005 to 2000. I'm sorry, 2006, 2008. We lived in ours, and it was we had a fifth wheel at that time. We've got 2 bumper pulls now, but yeah, we really enjoyed it. But my wife made me settle down a little bit, so now I just go out camping quite a bit.
got it.
all right. So next question: when you're out and doing ham radio in your RV, do you guys activate inside or outside?
Oh hell yeah!
PP man.
Outside as much as I can, But today it was raining. I went to State Park to dump my tanks, and I figured I'll bring the radio with me. I'll activate. I activated. Everything was going fine. Then I decided to go to 17 meters. The wind was pushing pretty hard outside, and it was raining. I go to 17 meters. All of a sudden, I key up, and it came right back at me. And I said, "Whoa!" Keep in mind, if I'm pushing 3 watts, I don't feel that. So I went back to 40. It did it again, and I said something's wrong. I go outside, and my antenna had fallen down over the top of the RV, so all the RF was coming back in. I was pushing 100. So it was exciting. You don't get that on QRP.
So I got 2 questions with your statements there. Number 1, you said you figured you'd take the radio. Why was that even a question?
It wasn't really.
Okay. I mean, when you leave the house in the morning, it's wallet, gun, keys, radio, right?
And a spare radio.
Okay, I'm just making sure. And the other question was,
and 3 antennas.
When you run the 100 watts a day, did you take a shower immediately after?
I felt so dirty.
I knew you
So
did.
dirty. But I couldn't because I had already emptied the tanks.
All right, Vern, are you an inside or outside when you're in the RV?
Well, it just kind of depends. I mean, Texas is pretty warm, so if it's just blistering hot, I'll be inside, and if it's cold, obviously. But the biggest thing for us is, right around this time of year is just all the mosquitoes, and so yeah, I'll cheat. I mean, it's not cheating, I suppose, but I'll activate inside.
Your equipment's still in the park.
That's exactly right. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I've played with in and out, but it's just it just depends on the weather mostly for me.
Okay, Kurt.
Well, I'm going to answer it as far as what I have done and what I want to do. So what I have done is I've used my RV as a base of operations, and then I go out in the mobile and operate parks near the RV. Right? For example, I was in Sturgis, South Dakota, so I could go to Wyoming, I could go to Montana, and I could drive, basically a couple hours away, and I could hit a whole bunch of parks that had rarely been activated. Nothing new, but things with like 27 QSOs. Well, what I want to do, and this is inspiration from Mike, Charlie Uniform 3 Hotel Yankee in the Azores. What I want to do is go park my butt in a national grassland or a national forest or national park and sit there till I got a kilo. That's what I want to do. But I haven't done that yet, but that's on the bucket list.
So 4 hours, 5?
I'm not as popular as you, James. I don't know, but if you pick the right rare park, I think you could really make it happen. Because when I would go to a park with only 27 or 11 QSOs in the books, you get pileups like crazy with the hunters. Like me, I'm primarily a hunter first and activator second. And like I told you before the live stream, I got 31 atnos till my next 2,000 park goal. So I'm looking for those atnos on the spot page. And when I was out there and out west, I was picking these rare parks or rarer parks, and man, the pileups. And I do the activating because I love pileups. I'm a pileup junkie.
And it has nothing to do with wattage, because when James and I did ours in Kentucky, we were on 5 watts, and the same pileup showed up.
Yeah.
It was a roar. You don't hear anything. That was the first time I was on his side of the pileup, and it was a roar. It's just like constant. It's like a train's going by.
And you know what to do when you don't pick out any call signs in a roar. You just say Alpha Delta 2 Charlie Delta, and she'll be right there.
I did that this morning. I did that. She was there.
if you can't pick out her in a pileup, there's something wrong anyway. Unless you're on 60 or 80. She's weak on 60 and 80. That's Toby's kryptonite. All right. So next we got. All right, I like this one. What radio and antenna do you guys use in your RVs, and is that different from what you're using at home?
Not different from what I'm using at home. NFED, got to be an NFED, and it's a toss up. 818, 705, one of those two. Usually they're both with me, so I might use one in the morning and one in the afternoon, just so neither one gets jealous or something.
So when you're feeling manly, you use the 818, and when you're feeling kind of feminine, you use the 705.
Exactly. Okay. Yes, the Barbie mic. Yes.
Hilarious.
Now, PP Man's an icon fanboy. I call it.
I am not.
But
I'm not. I'm nobody's fanboy.
But he cracks me up when he goes to talking about his mic and stuff like that.
It's a Barbie mic. Where is it? I mean, it's tiny. It's tiny.
Oh God! Even Robbie gets Toby out of pileups. Well, now wait a minute. He said something nice. Robbie is a good activator, Eddie. I'm winking at you, Eddie. Don't worry. Or Edith or Ed Warp, whatever I'm gonna call you. I know why I typed Ed Warp, because when you were donating that money, you were loaded anyway. So it just carried over a little bit, and I just spelled it wrong. All right, Vern.
When I try,
look at that.
What?
Should we put it back up there, PP man? Come on, put it back up there. They didn't see it.
That's funny. When I'm in the when I'm mobile, in our camper, it'll be the Lab 599 Discovery TX 500 for when I want to do QRP mode, and then my 891 if I want to do 100 watts. I will probably throw up a dipole. I really try my best to get a really solid resonant and antenna. If I can't, then I'll be an in-fed half wave. On the back of the camper, I have your favorite antenna as well. I have the original Eagle one from the first original owner. But I got to be honest with you, there, James. I typically use it to hold the cell phone booster. It's mounted to the rear of the trailer, and I hardly ever use it because you can ask my friend Digital Rancher, who's in the chat here. I despise having to use a tuner or any in any sort of compromised intent if I can avoid it. Dipole's just kind of my go-to. At home, I got a 7300. Oh, that's funny. That's my buddy Lou and Pink, and basically, I'll use a 7300. We have a 718, a 706 Mark II. Primarily, I'm the 7300, and my wife is a 718. She loves that 718. And I do not love tuners. That's just not even funny. You need to go ahead and black him out of the channel right now. You just need to. I can't take this offense. Yes, so just go ahead and push the block right there. So, that's my buddy. That's my buddy Robert, W5ITR. So my traveling companion down to Huntsville last year or earlier this year.
I just bought a Wii Boost. Does it help putting it on a mast?
It does. Yeah, I get it as high as I can. Yep, you bet. And I've just ordered some LMR 400 for it to feed it with that. But I stick it on the top of that what is that, Eagle One, and get that bad boy as high up as I can possibly get it. And I did great with it. It gives me from 1 bar to 4 bars, 5 bars sometimes. So it works pretty well. And I have the portable Starlink also, so I take that with me too. But when you're underneath tree cover and all the rest of that stuff, that's kind of a pain in the ass.
We live in Michigan. Everything's tree cover.
Yeah,
we can't use Starlink here. Not when you're camping.
I'm talking to you on it right now.
And you got tree cover where you're at?
No, I'm at home.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm in Central Texas. I got a clear view of the northern sky pretty easy here.
Oh yeah.
This is not my camper behind me. This is this is my home shack. So
yeah.
All right, so Alex, thanks for the $1.99 super chat. Even though you're saying hi to Kurt, Kurt's the famous person.
Hey,
today.
that's one of my fan clubs. That's my house sitter. Thank you, Alex. That's very nice of you.
Listen, you guys, PP Man. Somebody told PP Man that I have a way of hypnotizing people to get them to do what I want. But now I'm going to tell you, Kurt has people that male sing for him. He's got a house sitter, evidently. I mean, Kurt's where it's at, y'all.
Well, you got to do what you got to do. But so another one of to answer your question, I think, which was what do you use the same or a different radio between your RV and your base station? So another one of my interests and pursuits involves the theory of learning a manual of arms is something important to do. And I took that theory into ham radio. And so I replicated my base station for my RV station, because once I learned how to use the FTDX10 and all of its bells and whistles, I didn't want to learn another radio. So for my RV, I use an FTDX10. I do use a different microphone just because, here I can use a boom microphone really well, but on the kitchenette table in an RV, a desktop, the Yaesu M70 is the bomb. Antenna wise, I use end-fed half waves at home. I use end-fed half waves from the RV. In fact, if you go on YouTube and you'll search my call sign, KB9JQU, there's a video of my last RV station where I've got a bulldozer holding down one end of a half wave and a 75-foot silo holding the other. And that got out like gangbusters. I made contacts all over the Europe and Asia and all over the U.S. on that antenna. I have backed up my pickup truck and ran my Eagle One off the back of the pickup truck. For some reason, the Eagle One doesn't ground well to the RV. I haven't figured out why yet, but it works awesome on my F-250. And so I'll use the Eagle One if I don't have a great place. Then I also did a YouTube video of I was in a campground. The only time I was in a campground all summer, one time, and there was no trees, there was nothing. So I took a soda beam 6-meter mast and a camp chair and a couple heavy limestone rocks, and I built a antenna support. And that actually, I call it the K8 MRD style, where he leans a mast up. Well, I didn't have anything to lean a mast into, so I wedged it in a camp chair, and that worked also like gangbusters. So that's the way I do it. I replicate my station because I don't have enough time to learn how to operate 2 radios. So that's my solution.
There's nothing wrong with running 2 DX10s, that's for sure.
2 is one is none, and one of my DX10s is in the shop right now getting repaired, and my RV's in the shop getting recalls and repairs done. And so yeah, I'm glad I have another one because it's right behind me, and I'm able to keep hunting while one of them's getting fixed.
Got to keep on the radio, that's for sure. I know when I just send my Yaesu off, I would have been lost if one of the viewers sent me a G90 to use, which I ended up buying off of him. But I had to have a radio to keep going, so that's for sure. All right, so we'll get to the next question here. What do I got here? All right, and I know this is going to be different with most of you guys. What style of camping do you all do in your RV?
Oh, yeah. Well, for me, I love boondocking. That's it. Boondocking. I don't like campgrounds. I like the remoter I can get, the lower RF noise, the less people, the more I can put up antennas. So for me, that's what I do.
Yeah, we're huge boondockers. We just went out to Montana for a month, and I can't tell you how many spots we just would pull off the side of the road in South Dakota and North Dakota. A lot of times you really don't even know where you're pulling off, and then you wake up in the morning and you say, wow, it's pretty nice here. It's usually because it's dark, when you pull off. But yeah, a lot of boondocking. Yeah, I did a lot of conversions on mine after I got it, as far as being the ability to be able to boondock. We can go probably 3 or 4 days without a problem.
And if you're boondocking, you don't have to worry about your neighbor saying, can you turn that radio down? My kids are trying to go to sleep.
Yeah.
Oh, no, he's referring to Kentucky, where we had this Karen next to us, and she was such a Karen, she didn't even come over. She sent her husband. And it was like 8 o'clock.
It wasn't the kids. It was her. Trust me, it was her.
Yeah, it was her.
At 8 o'clock. And, I was respectful because it was his campsite. If it had been my campsite, I'd be like, no, can't do it till 10 o'clock. Sorry.
Not if I'd have known that they were leaving the next morning. I would have said, yeah, 10 o'clock, lady, give your kids some coloring books.
That's funny. I do a lot of boondocking as well, but a lot of it I do in the campsites in the parks because everything from us is so far. I mean, the nearest POTA to me is an hour and 45 minutes. I mean, that's the easiest one to get to. And that's the one that I did all the video on this past weekend. But it's a very good long distance to get to most of them. Like San Angelo is like a 7-hour drive, that sort of thing. So, yeah.
Wow.
But no, yeah. My trailer is definitely, my big one is definitely set up for for doing boondocking. I've done a great deal of it with it. To your point, I think we could probably go without having to really just get creative. I would say a week, maybe 10 days. We've got 80 gallons of black storage. We've got 160 gallons of fresh water. We could quite a while.
That's our weak link is water. We got 35 gallons of fresh water.
Same
Yeah.
here. Water. My next one will have a lot more water. And just for those who don't know what boondocking is, because we're assuming everyone's RVers, which you're probably
Oh,
not.
that's a good point.
It's basically where you're camping. It's also called dispersed camping, dry camping. You don't have power, you don't have water, you don't have sewer. You bring everything in you need, and you take everything out when you go. And you may not have even a campsite per, like, a place, marked out to park. It might just be, a park ranger says, you can go out down this road, and anywhere you want, just pull off and set
Yeah.
up camp. And so boondocking tends to be free or very low cost. I like the free part for sure, and the low
Yeah.
cost part.
Yeah.
And I just like the privacy and the fact that you won't have neighbors complaining about being on the radio. You're going to have low RF noise. Because one problem with campers these days is they all have solar now for the most part, and those inverters tend to be the ones that create a lot of RF noise.
I replaced
Um,
mine for that reason.
exactly. I've got a Victron ready to go in to replace mine when
That's
it
what I
comes
bought.
out of the shop.
That's what I have in mine is a Victron.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you got those problems, but that's what boondocking is, and versus going to a traditional campground where you pull into a site and plug everything.
A lot of it is mostly out west is where I found most of the boondocking.
Yeah.
When we were there in our camper, we kind of made a 3-year mission to go to every lower state, of the lower 48. And most of the boondocking sites we found were out west. We did a lot of BLM land, just a lot of the area out there by Nevada, and they have a lot of their own land that you can boondock on as well. But we were all up in Montana and all the rest of that stuff as well. So we did a lot of BLM land.
Yeah.
National Park Service land also.
And east of the Mississippi, have you guys tried like Harvest Host? Because
I have. Yeah.
that's been phenomenal, and that's where a brewery, distillery, winery, apple orchard, cheese factory basically says, "Hey, we'll give you a free place to stay. We might give you power, we might give you water, we might give you sewer, but usually they don't. And just we ask you spend $20 at our shop on something, which is not hard to do at a distillery, a brewery.
No, and chances are you probably need to stay there anyways because you can't drive.
So and while that's not maybe pure play boondocking, it's still the same concept that you're independent, you're off the grid, you're
It's
also
flexible too.
Very flexible. Yeah.
Yeah, we had plenty of cases where we had our grandson with us and he's 2 years old, and there's only so much he'll sit in the car seat.
Yeah.
So
we do a lot of hip camp also.
Yeah,
I've not tried that, but I hear that's good. Yeah.
Yeah, we stopped at Walmart's, and there's plenty of places to camp. And it's funny because you'll pull into a Walmart and you'll be maybe the only one or another guy, and then you'll wake up in the morning and there's like 20 of you.
Yeah.
And everything from a guy in a car to a 45-foot motorhome.
So if I'm overnighting at a Harvest Host or a Cracker Barrel or something, I'm probably not going to throw up an infant halfway. That's where I'll even run a coaxial cable to the ATOS 120 on my pickup truck, because my FTDX10 will also run the ATOS 120 like the FT891. So I guess I forgot to mention that as another antenna that I have used from in the RV. And 20 meters and up, it's usually pretty phenomenal. So I actually worked Japan and Slovenia and Italy from parks on the ATOS 120 on 20 meters while activating. So on sideband. So, I mean, wow, it works.
So when you're looking for a site, like if you're boondocking or whatever, and you're in an area where not a Harvest Host or a Walmart or something like that, but do you do like I do and spot the site or the area you're going to be in, depending if it's going to hang an infed halfway first before you check if the ground is level?
If I'm staying more than 2 days or more than one night, yes, and antenna considerations rank pretty high in the priority list.
Okay, so I'm all right. I'm in a good club. All right.
Yeah. I will look around, and I look for no trees immediately above me for the Starlink, right to the north,
Okay.
and some trees or something 60 feet away or so to put that end-fed half wave up in.
Right.
All
But I
right,
found that camp chair trick, so that works too.
so really quick, even though this question got answered, Ranning Raven asked, I assume that the Victron is quiet, and Vern answered it and said it's dead quiet. But
Yeah.
Vern, just for people who don't know what it is, you want to talk about that for a minute?
Sure. It's just it's an inverter. Basically, it's a I forget what the model numbers that we have, but it's comparable to what came in the trailer. I think it was like $1,300, $1,400, something like that. But my trailer is wired so that all of my 110 outlets go through the inverter. And even though if I got shore power, obviously the shore power just feeds it. There's a switch over, but the Victron is a great little inverter. I mean, there's I bought mine just off the web, at their site. I think it was just Victron Energy, maybe.
VictronEnergy.com.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
But
you're just looking. Go ahead.
no, that's all. I mean, it was about $1,400. But it was comparable to what was in there, except for what was in there is trash.
Yeah, what you want is something that's a pure sine wave.
Exactly.
inverter.
This is a pure sine.
And that's what I have also is the Victron, which we replaced it with. That's one of the frustrating things to going into a campground where you have somebody next to you that might have a smaller RV and a smaller trailer, like say maybe a 16-footer or something like that. And chances are that they're not going to have this pure sine wave and they're only 20 feet away from you. You're going to hear it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other thing I find too, it's a good point you mentioned too, is that a lot of folks will bring in their lesser. And it sounds really, really arrogant, and I don't mean it to. They're bringing some campers that are just a lot of corners have been cut, and they'll be on the same power line that you're on in a lot of these campgrounds. And the next thing you know, if you're using shore power, or that is to say, if you're plugging into the pedestal at the campground, and the guy next to you blows the circuit, next to you, you've got yours that's compromised also. And so there's a lot of feedback and a lot of other issues that I've experienced. So I always operate off of the 12-volt system whenever I use the radio, because it's just if I go and plug into the the power supply into the shore power, I've had 4 or 5 times when something's gone wrong that has caused me issues. I mean, I certainly can do the inverter if I want to rock off the batteries and do it that way, but typically I'll just use the battery system that I have just directly. Or, I'm most familiar. Most of the time I will probably carry a BioEnno and just plug into that.
That's a good point. I have a dedicated 100 amp hour SOK lithium ion phosphate that I exclusively use to power the FTDX10. I do not power the radio off of a power supply. I have that isolated. And Shooter Ready Stand By, you said, yes, not all Victrons are RF quiet. There are some models that work better than others. And if you search solar forums or ham radio forums or whatever, you might see references to the ones. My Victron solar charge controller is very RF quiet, but the one I had prior to that and the one that's currently on the RV, not so much. But yes, you have to worry about the solar charge controller because that's one source of noise. The solar panels can be a source of noise. Mix 65 RF chokes are your friend there. And then you've got your inverter, which is taking that 12-volt power, turning it into 110-volt AC power. That's another source of noise. And for those of us who care about RFI and noise, we're going to find the best components, do all of our isolation and everything. But hey, if you're not into radio, you don't care. You don't even know. So yeah, and that's one reason why I really took a liking to dispersed camping and boondocking, because there was unlikely there would be any RFI around me. So my radio noise floor would just be dead quiet, which is awesome.
I've had to walk away from our site and go to like the day use area or whatever, because it's just
many times
the noise level is so high.
Yeah.
Tom, on mine, I've got 4,800 watts.
Mine's tiny. I only got 2,000.
All right, we're going to get to the next question, but just so you know, Terry, some McDonald's is in DC as a forfer. Just so you'll know when you're camping there.
Are we going through this again?
He said he camps at McDonald's. He started this anyway. So speaking of RFI, what do you guys do in your when you do have to deal with RFI, and what do you guys do for grounding?
Oh gosh, yeah. Well, I actually had a very interesting experience last time. I was very concerned that I was running coax right from the end-fed half wave through the slide out seal into the DX10. And so when I would leave, I would usually unplug it. But one day I did not. And I came back and I was operating on the radio. And all of a sudden I realized there was a flash of lightning outside. And I went, oh, lightning, that's not good. And then the DX10 shut down. The BMS in the battery shut down. And I went, oh crap, I just ruined it. So I unplugged the coax. And as I do that, I got a real nice tingle. It was a little crazy. And what I ended up doing was putting a ground wire from the chassis on the radio to a 110 volt plug to the ground. And I would use the shore power ground to at least bleed off the static. I talked with the guys at Polyphaser about how to properly ground a trailer, because they do that for ECOM trailers, emergency communication trailers for military, law enforcement, and civilian agencies. And they said they go out and they drive a ground rod and they ground everything. And when they're done, they pull the ground rod out. Well, that's not easy to do as a casual RVer. So I just did the next best thing, and I just found some ground point to ground to. But it is something you got to think about if you're long term. I think if you're just doing a activation short term, it's no big deal, like we all do. But if you're going to be set up for a while, just wind blowing across a wire is going to build up static electricity, and you got to think about bleeding that static electricity off and getting it to ground. So don't do what I did and not have it bleeding to ground. Find some way to at least get your radio chassis or your coax cable shielded, or not shielded, but going to earth somehow, whether that's through shore power or you drive your own ground, or I don't know what else you would do, but that's my thoughts on that one.
Yeah, for sure.
I haven't found any need to, and when you're running QRP, your voltage is so low. I haven't found any reason to ground yet. But most of my 99% of my activations are sitting outside.
Yeah.
Right. Raven asked a question there. I give it real quick. Yeah, that's a definite issue there. The appliances that we have a Whirlpool refrigerator that is completely, high efficiency, and we kind of negotiated to get the one we wanted that we had done a lot of research on, and it's like I say, it doesn't run off propane at all. A lot of the RVers will have a refrigerator run off propane or off of 110. It runs strictly off the 12 volt system.
And I agree. And I have a outside kitchen on mine, which they do all. Yeah. I don't ever use it, but I have one. And the cheap dorm room refrigerator out there is noisy.
Oh yeah, big time. I unplug it.
But 2 mixed 31 ferrites on the AC power cord cut the noise out. But no, like you, it's usually unplugged. But when I was staying at a friend's house and we found that it was convenient to have beer in the outside refrigerator, I did have to find a solution. And
it's kind of funny because in my bigger trailer, I don't have the outside kitchen because I basically swapped that for having so much water storage and that sort of thing. Now in the little trailer, we do have a full outside kitchen with what we call the fajita grill, and it's about the only thing I can find that I want to cook on it because it's just that's just a little bitty grill there. But at any rate, on there, it's very noisy. And I took it to Huntsville 2 years ago, and I just unplugged that damn thing. I was trying to operate and activate Monsanto State Park, and I was just like, no, that thing's got to be disconnected.
You'll literally see lines on the display just constantly, and you just go around, you do the breaker test, you flip breakers off, and it didn't take very long to figure out it was the AC refrigerator that was a problem. And I think Tom asked, have any of you experienced RFI from the RF converter? RF? Oh, the RV converter. Yes, definitely. It was so bad one day I just went and flipped the breaker switch and turned it off so I could do my play radio. And then when I was done, I flipped the breaker back on. So yeah, those can do, they can make noise too.
Terry said, I wonder how many was camped at Walmart in Dayton. I don't know. I can tell you that Caesars Creek State Park was really full. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
All righty. So I think, yeah, I've got one more question, but before we get to that, have you guys learned anything to do, not to do while out doing radio in the RV? I know Vern probably has a story.
Yeah. That's not even funny that you bring that shit up, James. I'm just saying. Yeah. So for Mike and for Kurt, you probably aren't aware of the. I got electrocuted at a state park. I walked under a high line, and static off the high. It was a misty morning, and basically I stopped to go to the restroom at a campground restroom, walked underneath the power line. It was one of those transmission lines from a power plant, and got nailed. Went in the neck. Had 2 exit wounds, one on my left, one on my left palm, and it ended up giving me cataracts of all things. And
wow.
So that's pretty common for electrical shocks. Hard to say that it was, couldn't. In my estimation, it could not have been anything other than static, or I wouldn't be sitting here today. If it had been the full 14.8 that line had, I think I would have blew off a limb or some shit. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it was definitely a static that just was up there because you could hear it, and it just nailed me. Like seriously, went right in my neck, out my left back, and out my left palm. And I was in ICU for 3 days in the middle of nowhere.
Wow. That's a nice camping trip.
Oh yeah, no, Colorado City, Texas, baby. No, I don't need it. If it weren't for the pizza there, I probably would never go back. It's just, I'm not sure I even want to go have pizza that bad.
Going back to power, do either one of you two use conditioners at the pole?
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
Which one do you use?
Really quick before you answer that question, because Vern said pizza. Thank you very much, James, for the 5 slices of pizza. Appreciate it. Now go ahead, continue.
I use the Power Watchdog.
That's what I got. That's the third one I had. The first, it's too bright, can't see.
Yeah,
I just like the lit dog on it.
Yeah,
I get a lot of questions about why is your conditioner. I went through 3 of them, and that was the one I ended up with. The other 2 I sent back because they were dirty. That one seems to be very, very clean.
It does. It came highly recommended, and and then to your question, James, I think I've already covered it. Is just I don't want to leave a antenna up in the air for a long period of time without making sure I'm bleeding off the static charge. Having some sort of grounding, because that was a little close call. By the way, the FTD X10 survived. Its circuitry sensed that static, shut down, protected itself. The BMS came back on once I applied a charger to it. It woke it up and said, okay, it's safe now. You're done with the static electricity. But that was my lesson learned on that, and hopefully will. I really like some of the ideas Polyphaser gave me. The technician did, and I think for longer term stays, I would definitely put more emphasis on grounding and bonding, or earthing rather, grounding and earthing. For short activations and stuff, I don't think anybody really worries that much about it. So
Yeah, I use the Smith wire is the conditioner that I use on, and it has a little Bluetooth adapter sits inside and tells me the power consumption, whether it's got a good sine wave, tells me all kinds of things about that. It's kind of like a monitor of just the shore power. And it's Smith wire. I'm trying to find it in my Amazon purchases, but it's been a while. So, but I know for a fact it's Smith wire.
Thanks to Ed Warp for the $4.99 super chat. Yeah, I'm sorry, buddy. I've done ruined you. You can ask PP Man. Once I stick you with something, it's over.
Once you get a name, I mean, I can't
That's
tell you
hilarious.
how many times it comes up when I'm operating.
That's hilarious.
I mean, it's bad when you give out your call, or when you're hunting, you give out your call, and people come back with "PP Man, come back."
I'll never forget, because it started. I called him that on stream one night, and the next day he calls me. He said, "Dude, I'm going to kill you." He said, "I was activating today, and somebody said you're the PP Man."
It's hilarious. Friends like him, Mike. I mean, there you go, buddy.
Yeah.
Tom is stealing my thunder a little bit. I know what I do on my camper, but what do you guys do to bring your coax in?
Tom, I'm going to give you what I do and what I want to do. What I do today is I open the slide out a little bit, and I stuff the Starlink coax and the RG8X through the slide out, and then I close it. And that actually works really slick, to be honest. But I just saw on an N4 H&H video, Doug, his brother, I think Wayne, bought one of those long SO239 on both ends, and you just drill a hole, run that through, caulk it up, seal it, bolt it down, and then you just plug your coax in on the inside and your coax on the outside. And that, of course, would let you put you could throw a polyphaser or alpha delta in there, and you could do some good lightning arresters or something. But that's what I want to do, but I haven't had time to do that. It's just too easy to run it through the slide out.
I did it through the slide out most of the time, but my slide out for the master bedroom is it has the storage door underneath, from the outside, so you can bring in that storage door and then bring it up underneath the drawers that are in the underneath the bed. And so I don't really have to stick it through the slide out to it. It kind of like it. I'm like you. I want to put the bulkhead in, but my wife don't want me to drill holes in the big trailer, so I might put the bulkhead in the smaller trailer. But that's about it.
I have a little hole right next to right below the refrigerator by the last cabinet. That I have a piece of coax sticking out of there, and it goes down into the compartment where all my batteries are at. So it's all coiled up in there. And so all I do is open up the door, stick it through the hole that's in the bottom of it, the drain hole, and I can drag it up to wherever I want.
How neat. That's cool.
I've used it like 3 times.
Okay.
Yeah. Today would have been one of the days, but I was too lazy. I just threw it out the door and left the door open. Left it cracked open a little bit. So.
That can work.
Yeah.
All right. So we're finally down to that last question, and this is my favorite one here.
Oh, boy.
All right. So, if the ham radio adventure guy pops into your area, are you willing to set up your camper and let him activate in it 24/7 for
Hell
7 days? For 7 days straight.
Bring it. Bring it.
Bring it. It's it.
Oh, wait. No. You come here. We're getting in it together and going.
There you go.
You're not going to activate from my driveway.
Exactly.
Well, I said the ham radio adventure guy. He is not from DC, okay?
Okay.
Oh, you're talking about you. Oh, okay. Tell you what, James, if you came down here, I'd pull that trailer out to a POTA park, park it there, and just we would have pizza delivered to you and everything, and we just make you activate 24/7 until you passed out.
Be careful. You're the closest, Curtis.
I know.
Where do you guys live?
I'm near Raleigh, North Carolina.
Okay.
I'm 60 miles north of Detroit.
Like
Okay.
like like
I'm,
I could go.
I'm about 40 miles south of Waco. You've all heard of the Belton Ham Fest. It's about 13 miles from my house.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I go out to where Vern's at, I definitely need a place to stay for sure.
That's it.
Uh,
Well, you're welcome to it anytime. In fact, Joe Brett and his wife and daughter are considering coming down here. So I'm sure we'll have some. I'm sure we'll have some camper time too.
it's quite funny, and Kurt is the one who provoked me to put that question in there, guys. So
Well, I think it's a fair question. I think, but anyway, I do think this is a good topic. I think RVing and hamming go together fairly nicely, whether it's your base of operations or whether you stick that RV in a park and you try to get a kilo. Yes, Mike, I'll try to do that one of these days. But it is it does have some unique challenges, and I would say one more thing is bring lots of tools, electrical, plumbing, mechanical, because I don't know about you guys, but it seemed like every other day I was fixing something new in the RV. So
yeah, and
How old's your
unfortunately,
RV?
it's always a trip to Walmart and
How
Home
old's
Depot.
your RV?
oh, it's brand new. I bought it in
Okay.
May. It's a brand new one.
Oh,
but it
okay. Well, you
still
guys,
has plenty-
there's 9 things you're going to have to fix.
Yeah.
Every RV has 9 faults, and it takes a year to get through those. We just got through
Yeah.
all of ours.
That's it.
Mine had quite a few, and I was able to remedy several of them with a great service advisor giving me advice. But like I couldn't fix the Schwintek slide out myself. I had to put a new controller, and there's a few other things and recalls. But
Oh, so
yeah,
you learned how to push your slide out back in by yourself without the power?
well, I used the Bluetooth app to
Never
make
mind.
it go in, and then I stood outside and pushed while I was holding the Bluetooth app.
Yeah.
And that got it to go back in. It turned out it was just a bad controller. The motors and everything were fine, but
Oh, yeah. We went through bad motors, bad controller. I quickly
Yeah.
learned, if you disconnect everything and you get somebody else to help you, you can push it back in. Yeah. That was one of the 9 things that we had to go through.
Nice.
Yeah.
all right, 3 real quick things I want to touch on here. Number 1, Ed said James has to bring the beer. Obviously, Ed has forgotten that I wear the crown. And when the king shows up, you can ask PP Man, and you can also ask James when they're in the chat. I've showed up at both of their RVs, and not only did they both have alcohol if I wanted it, which I did partake at PP Man because I stayed the night. But they also fed me. So when the king shows up, you take care of him. Or
And the humility is your best factor too, James. I mean, that's just great.
And he likes
wait.
and James likes good liquor.
PP Man, what happens if the king gets mad?
Off with your head.
Thank you very much. All right. Number 2, James Linden said RVing is the base for roving. I definitely would agree. I would definitely agree to that because I would like to be set up in a state park to activate when I in the morning when I get up and in the evening when I get back. But during the day, I want to be roving for sure.
Come up to Montano during Huntsville next year.
And also, Eddie, thank you very much for the super chat. And yes, somebody said beer. All right, so we're pushing close to the end of the stream. All you guys are welcome to come over to the Patreon chat. Vern, you're in my Discord, correct?
I am. Yeah.
You're not in my Discord. Well, shame on you.
It could be related to the fact that we get any stickers.
Oh, that's what it is. Okay. All right. So I'm visually giving you a sticker right now, Vern.
And I'm visually giving you something else too.
Hey,
I didn't get a sticker. I didn't get a sticker.
If what you were visually giving me is what I think it is, that is the state that I live in. I live about right here.
The West Virginia flag.
Hilarious.
That is my flag, so it does not offend me.
Serious question, James. Is the Patreon after hour going to be in Discord?
It is going to be in Discord because we thought we were going to switch it because of the it's been lagging and stuff like that. But Robbie and Pat both boosted the server, so supposedly it's not going to lag tonight. We'll find out.
Awesome.
Vern, if you do come over to Discord, just send me a message and I'll get you access into that.
Yeah, I apologize.
Hey,
I'm not
Hayden.
going to be able to make the after chat tonight, but I sure have enjoyed it. Thanks for having me, and nice to meet you guys as well. So
Yes,
All
nice
right,
meeting you.
hopefully hear both of you on the airwaves soon.
Well, before you go, do you got anything coming up on your channel? Vern does have a channel, guys.
We do. Yeah, I just shot a bunch of video doing a POTA activation out here last weekend, and it's kind of funny. I'm actually doing the second half of a product review for a Red Ox bags that I just absolutely loved, and so going to show how some of that works with my Lab 599 TX500. Even got a little breakfast cooking going on, so I'm just editing it right now. So
Cool.
Speaking of bags, I got something really cool coming up next month, just so you guys know. And if you're looking for bags or anything, there's a Amazon link in my description. If you guys shop on Amazon, please click on that link and go through to Amazon that way, because I'm now an affiliate and it does help me keep going to POTA parks like you guys like. Kurt, what you got coming up?
Radio wise, not. I'm just trying to finish out my RV station when I get it back, and I'm very likely going to set up another QTH in the near future. So we'll work on that and see how that all works. So, but I really think Canada James is right that the ultimate rove, the RV is the vehicle, is the way to do the ultimate rove. And didn't he do one this summer for 2-3 months, or was
Yeah,
it 6 weeks?
He I don't know how long, but he went on I think he did. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's like 28 states.
Yeah,
A little
yeah,
longer than my trip. I think he was 5 weeks. We were 4 weeks. I think he was 5 weeks.
yeah. And I do wish I would have activated in every state I drove through. I'm going to try to do that a little bit better next time. But I got all the 51 hunted states, right? And so now I look at that activated states, and there's a lot of this is the POTA addiction. This is how they get you, because I got a lot of those squares that are white, and I'm not going to rest until they're green. So that's going to be a lot of driving and a little bit of flying too. So, there he says 6 weeks, 27 states, 34 parks. Yeah, that's pretty serious rove right there. And there was another gentleman in Canada who did another RV rove, or a camper van rove. And you don't have to, get a big rig or a motorhome. There are some very affordable. Heck, I saw people just use their car with a tent. A lot of pickup trucks with a platform in the bed with a tent on top. So you can do this cost effectively. You don't have to spend 50 to 100 grand to go do it. But it's definitely feeding the addiction of activating for sure.
Absolutely, I've did many of overnight roves in several days in the vehicle. So and I'm not ashamed to use an antenna tuner. Just so you know, I did an activation right before this stream because I wouldn't have had time to throw up an in-fed half wave, and I did 4 bands, and had almost 200 contacts in like 30 minutes, y'all. So antenna tuners do work, Vern.
They do work.
Yeah, they do. I mean, I've got a nice one sitting on the shelf behind me. But yeah, my buddy Robert, he digital rancher, and he'll tell you my aversion to digital, tuners and compromised antennas. I'm kind of a dipole fan, long and hard. I mean, when we lived out I see it. What do you got there? Whose is that?
I do use an in-fed halfway from time to time.
Oh, okay.
That's a spark plug.
Okay. And then when we lived in Guatemala, I mean, it was all we could do to get an antenna up, and so there weren't a lot of supplies there. It was all wires. I mean, that's all we had to communicate with between the villages, and so I mean, I'm just kind of a nerd, a nerd about those two. Just compromised antennas. I mean, everything's compromised, right? But I mean, it's just I would just rather have a dipole that's just totally resident and go from there.
When it comes to what PP Man does, I would definitely have to agree with that. If you're gonna do if you're gonna do QRP, the better resident that antenna is, the better off you're going to be.
Okay, say that louder for Robert is in the chat. Say that, just repeat that. All three of you in unison. It's a better antenna for QRP. Go ahead.
Robert, I will say it's going to be better for QRP for sure.
He knows that too. I'm just messing with
him. But I mean, if you're out roving like I like to do, you can't beat what I do with any antenna. I promise you, because the contacts don't lie. If you look at the last 7 years, the most contacts ever made in a year sideband, phone, we'll say phone, was like 34,000. I've more than doubled that this year on that antenna.
Wow.
And, there's a lot of people from Texas that's like, well, you don't do 20 meter. You don't do 20 meter. So for the last 3 weeks, you can ask anybody in POTA. I've activated on 20 meters every single day. And I tear it everywhere up. So I don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
I lose about 6 watts when I use my antenna tuner. That's how compromised I am.
You asked about the other thing I forgot to tell you is my intention to go work in a national park or a grassland or whatever. My dream setup, and I've got most of it assembled, is a portable hex beam and a 500 watt linear, so that I can do I can get that kilo as fast as possible.
Well, I have a 12 volt, the RM Italy. I have the 12 volt, 250 watt. It puts out about 300. Wow. But it's 12 volt amplifier as well.
When you get that 500 watt linear set up in that national park land, make sure to let me know, because that's the week I plan on coming to activate with you.
All right.
And all activations are going to be on 7200 that week.
That sounds good. That sounds good. Let's do it.
All right, PP Man, what you got coming up?
Nothing. I'm going to slow down a little bit.
Loser.
No. 2 activations a day.
Hey, listen. I can't say nothing because I've had a sinus infection for about 2 weeks, and people have lost their mind because I'm doing 2 and 3 activations a day only. And I mean, they've just absolutely lost their mind.
Who do you get a text from when you don't show up? Where are you?
Do you need a list? Let's see if I can remember from memory the park I find James the most. Kilo 7056. That's a good choice. That's one of them, Joe Brett. The one that you would find me at the most is 1810 though. You should.
Yeah.
Because I'm getting ready to double Eagle 1810 here within the next month.
I always know when I'm activating. I know when when James comes on, because my pileup disappears, and I actually have hunters that'll come. I gotta go. James is on. Yeah, it's bad. It's bad.
Well, this was a good topic. Thanks, James.
No problem. Thank you guys for showing up and talking to everybody. When I win that 700 million tonight, I will give you my RVing stories next time. I promise. If I don't, somebody's head's going to roll in the morning. So you guys who donated super chats, you're safe. I promise. Ed Warp and all you guys. All right. Thanks, everybody. Patreons, we'll be in Discord after chat. You know where it's at. Everybody else, we'll catch you on the air. 73.
73.
73, y'all. Thanks for having us.